I'm spending millions a month right now. I'm probably close to around like 30 million spent over the past 8-9 years on Google, and generated well over 150 million with Google. I was always entrepreneurial. I would always try and find side hustles that I could do. And I stumbled upon high ticket dropshipping first. Google is also up and coming. There's been a lot of agencies and a lot of guys saying that they're good at Google, ruining the name, like really ruining the name. So I really want to set a new bar, because I don't want these Google Ads agencies just coming in and tearing down like what Google Ads actually is. But then on top of that, like that's just the start. All right. Welcome to episode 53 of New Money Talks.
Perfect.
Yeah. Are you new money?
Oh, he's absolutely new money.
Yeah, as new money as it gets. Well, all right, we'll crack into it. We got Nate the Great here.
Nate the Great.
Nate.Google. Nate.Google.
Nate the Google Great.
On Instagram. Google legend. Google
if you don't know him, you should look him up. He's like low key, but you're coming more and more
up
out.
and coming.
Up and coming like on social, but like you've been around the block for a
Everyone's got to be
long time.
around the block to then be noticed as up and coming, you know?
Yeah, I've been around a while.
Yeah, the guy knows Google fucking ads.
Yeah.
And I know nothing about Google ads. So this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a good talk.
This is gonna be
you
a
guys
good
are
one.
very like paid social. You're in a completely different
Yeah.
space.
But like honestly, it's like New Money Talks podcast, being like all guys and girls. Once a sponsor asks us about that, they're like, "Yo, you guys don't have any female." I was like, "Well, actually, the next episode's a
they're over
female.
there.
Congratulations!"
They're all watching.
But no, yeah, you're a killer in the Google ad space. I'll let you talk about yourself. Honestly, for this one, I don't want to go into like your whole story.
I was going to say the same thing.
I don't want to go
into
into fuck the story.
I want to get straight into some questions.
because you're bringing out a lot of
story
shit
won't
in there
unfold.
that's like very,
Yeah.
very valuable.
I mean, if you guys want, I'll still do a little bit of
A little bit of
intro.
who you
So
are. Yeah.
The reason I have it as Nate.Google is I started 2017 with Facebook actually. So it's
Shit.
very different than what it is now. But I saw
Yeah.
that there was such a gap in the market for Google. And I started it back in 2015, 16, actually for a service-based business, because it was my first full-time job at like a junk removal job way back when. I saw that the marketing wasn't doing that well, knew nothing about marketing outside of the fact that I tried to launch my own Facebook agency in like 2014 and 15.
Damn.
And knew nothing about it, but they hired a marketing manager. And I just started peering over the numbers and I was like, we could definitely be doing better. Started YouTubing videos, learning about Google, took over the Google just as a test. And the rest is history. Now I went into e-commerce. I'm spending millions a month right now, where I'm probably close to around like 30 million spent over the past 8-9 years on Google, and generated well over 150 million with
Damn.
Google.
Look at that ROAS right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, right. I will say that there's a little bit of caveat. Had a ton of celebrity influencer brands. You got to treat them with care, very, very differently than a normal like dropshipping brand or a single product brand, etc.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean differently?
So you're not necessarily strictly going off of, you're not trying to get a cold acquisition every single time. You know, a lot of the time you're actually trying to go after brand protection and making sure, like for instance, I think a really good example is like Raw Gear versus Young LA. I don't want Young LA to be showing up if I have Raw Gear in my keywords, you know? So I need to be fighting for brand protection to get Raw Gear to show up as much as possible. But for me to advertise Raw Gear, dude, I'm going to rip a 25, 30x return on ad spend. So it inflates the revenue numbers quite a bit.
So you said that your first kind of mix with Google was 2014, 2015. Were you not like 14, 15 around that time?
Yeah, but I started dropshipping. Like, I started dabbling in dropshipping way before
He's
that.
a dropshipper, guys.
Oh my
Buy his
God.
course.
Right. I know. I started with dropshipping way before then. But the issue with when I started was that there was nothing on it. There was nothing on dropshipping.
Even
I mean,
De Silva was like 2017.
Dude, right. That's what I'm saying. It was before De Silva. It was before Supreme Patty. It was like before these guys. And I was just dabbling in it. Like this is when Google Ads wasn't even Google Ads. It was like Google AdWords and all. And I was just playing around. I didn't know how to create a Shopify store. Like I couldn't just go up on YouTube and figure out how to create it.
Yeah.
So I have if you could see the stores that I had active at the time, you would be disgraced at how bad they were. I mean, I know I am, but I would try to run ads and I just have no clue what I was doing. I think out of the 20 stores I may have made the first time that I was trying dropshipping, I probably got to running ads for one of them because I just didn't understand how to do it.
I'm curious though. You were like 14, 15. How the hell did you find Shopify and dropshipping?
That is a good question. I try to, it's different because I was always entrepreneurial. I would always try and find side hustles that I could do. And I did stumble upon, I think I stumbled upon high ticket dropshipping first, which is now making like a comeback.
That's like the best place to be right now.
Right. Yeah. But I stumbled across high ticket dropshipping and it was from like a furniture reseller, like a big name furniture reseller way back when, and how they were doing it on Google. And it clicked for me. I was like, why am I not trying this? I tried agency, like servicing people to do leads for them. And I couldn't make it click. And also they wouldn't want to talk to me because I was so young. They didn't want to show me any time. So instead tried drop shipping. There was very few times that I did it alone. I actually tried it with a couple friends just because it's like, I was so young. I didn't understand what the heck to do. So I tried it with a couple friends, which made it a lot easier, but even still, like we were unsuccessful for years.
Damn. So like I always wish that I learned this crap in fucking high school. Yeah. Because if I did, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, I agree. The only issue with it is I didn't know what I was doing. And because of that, I didn't know what I didn't know. And what I mean is I didn't know that there was so much potential within dropshipping. So sure, I might have started so young, but dude, like I loved video games at the time. So I was constantly playing video games. I think I stopped video games. I went into 9th grade, but I was constantly not putting attention into business or dropshipping at the time. I was just dabbling in it with my free time. And maybe I could say that wasn't a mistake, but at the same time, if I did, I don't know where I would be.
For sure. Where are we taking this? What are you thinking in your head?
So we were mentioning in the beginning that we're New Money Talks. What makes you new money?
That's funny. That's funny. I mean, I will say this. I'm definitely trying to carve the path with media buying right now. And I say media buying broadly because right now I'm sticking with Google. But Google is also up and coming. There's been a lot of agencies and a lot of guys saying that they're good at Google, ruining the name, like really ruining the name. I've even had like some clients taken away from me because these guys are like talking down on my name or other good, like great guys in the space.
But they're just good salesmen. They're not actually.
Yeah, they're just good salesmen. And then I feel bad because the client's business tanks on Google, and it's tough because they don't want to come back to us because they've heard our name. So I really want to set a new bar because I don't want these Google Ads agencies just coming in and tearing down like what Google Ads actually is. But then on top of that, like that's just the start. Like that is just the start. We're starting to do some really cool things with the agency, and I can't imagine where it's going to be in the next like 2, 3, 4 years.
Is the agency, is it all like e-commerce brands? I think you saw it in junk removal, which I think is kind of actually very interesting. Is there like service-based businesses in there too?
Very few. I just know service-based extremely well because that's what I started with. And I have the advantage of the first full-time job that I had. I was the vice president of sales and marketing. I actually started as a helper on the trucks. If you guys have seen like 1-800-GOT-JUNK or I think the one up here is like College Hunks, it's junk removal. And I started as a helper on the trucks, like removing junk from people's houses, and worked my way up to like the top salesman on the trucks, and then worked up to working in the office, and then became a sales associate, and then sales manager, then marketing manager, then VP of sales and marketing. But it was a startup company doing around like 5 million a year. So I had all of the experience of going from 0 to 10 in terms of business in the matter of a year because I had to, and I wanted it so bad. There was something about picking up the first business book that I had ever really read, which was What the Heck is EOS, if you guys are familiar. This is so long ago, but I picked it up and I was just like blown away by what they were talking about because it was so new to me, and it just made sense. It put a lot of things together, and we were starting to implement it one by one into the company. So I have this advantage where I've been involved with multiple startups working with their internal teams. So I understand leadership. I understand systems better than a majority of people that are in the space building agencies right now.
Junk removal is a good fucking business, isn't it? Like,
it is. It's a hard business. It's a hard business. Depending on the market you're hitting, especially here, like margins can be very slim. So you got to do it right.
Question though. So when they pick up, side note, because like, funny enough, we were talking about before about like, what do you do with money after you make it and everything like that?
Don't start a junk.
Well, one thing I was thinking about was buying a garbage company, for God's sakes. Just like a dumpster garbage company. Yeah. Like, where do these companies dump all this shit? Like, even the garbage removal companies.
Man, up here, there's landfills.
Just landfills.
Yeah, no, like a majority of the time it's a landfill, but they have like these waste management facilities all around, which then go to a landfill. So it's all going to a landfill or an incinerator.
So they're pretty much, they're charging you and like they're making on the spread of what their cost to throw it out pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, the landfill charges them, and if we go to a waste management center, it takes much less time than going to a landfill. So they'll do a little bit of an upsell. So that they can make a little bit of money on how much the landfill is going to charge them.
Interesting. It's funny that even the garbage has upsells. For you e-commerce people who don't have an upsell, add a fucking upsell.
Yeah, I mean, just get in the middle of where money flows.
Increase that AOV, you know? Yeah. It's all about business. It's kind of nuts.
So you like were learning drop shipping, got into service-based business. Did you ever actually build any of your own like brands, drop shipping stores?
Built a couple. Yes, I have. And I actually had an interesting perspective of dropshipping when I didn't like it. I actually wasn't that much of a fan of dropshipping. A lot of these guys love waking up and just seeing like 7K a day, 8K a day. And I get it. But when I was doing it, I just had so much stress like every day. And I actually didn't like that I would wake up and be like, what are my numbers at? I hated that. I hated just waking up and knowing that I'm going to be looking at my Shopify dashboard. And if it wasn't that great of a day, I didn't have a good start, then the rest of my day was screwed. Shit. So I tried to move away from managing my own brands as quickly as possible because I was much better at being able to look on the brand rather than in it, which is good because my current business partner is the opposite. He's really good at looking in the brand, not as much on the brand. So we're very yin and yang.
Yin and yang.
Yeah. No, I
feel laughing at a lot of these things.
I feel like with executional things like building your own brand, sometimes the emotion will cloud your judgment on decisions. Whereas when you are working in a service-based business and that risk is now kind of not on your shoulders, it rests on the company's shoulders. That's actually a better thing for the company because you'll make decisions sometimes a little bit more aggressively that they might be more conservative on. And that will generally be better for the business, right? Yeah. Whereas when you're drop shipping and you know at night you're like, oh shit, did I turn on this ad? Did I turn off this ad? And then you wake up kind of in a panic and you're looking at things. You're more in defense mode where like you're going to scale down instead of scaling up. But it also there's also a flip side to that where if you own the brand, then you have control over the spend. We were just talking about how clients sometimes will be like, I don't want you to push spend, even if it's crushing it. And at that point, as a media buyer, you're like, you know, you're kicking yourself in the ass because you're like, this is going to crush. This is like a gold mine. It's a money printer. Like if you have something, you put $1 in, you get $2 back. Yep. You keep putting more dollars in there. Like you don't cap the spend, you know, all that stuff. But
right. I do agree. We try to treat every single business as if it was our own, but at the same time, you don't have the headspace of fulfillment, customer service, and like dollar in, dollar out. Of course, when we're looking at a business and we're managing it, we're not like, oh, we can throw another 10K at this budget because we don't need to care about where it goes. Like, of course we do. But at the same time, we don't have all of the other side of things to deal with mentally. So we can strictly look at how the business is performing from a top level down instead of having to worry about the logistics side of things, because that's not what we're charging for. So we don't need to worry about those things.
It's like you're making data-driven decisions, whereas the business owner is making emotion-based decisions.
Right. It's like, what are you going to keep your mental capacity filled up with? If I don't have to keep that logistic and customer support side of things in my head, then I have more room for paid media and how that's going to affect the company.
Yeah. Well, what's the type of companies that you are looking for? So like when clients come to you or like you go out to clients, what's like the perfect, you're like, oh, I can actually help this one. And also on the flip side, what's one where it's like, this doesn't make any sense?
Yeah. So I've played the volume game before with agencies. And that means like take on anyone and everyone. And you almost have to do that if you've never ran an agency before. In the beginning, you kind of want to take on.
What's up, NewMoneyTalks fam? Wanted to quickly touch on today's sponsor, Melio. Melio is a hassle-free solution for businesses to streamline sending and receiving payments. What makes them so special? For starters, you could pay with a credit card even where credit cards are not accepted, and the vendor will receive a direct deposit to their bank or a check, even if they don't have a Melio account. It also seamlessly syncs up to your accounting software to reduce errors, to save you time, and to save you money. On top of that, you can send and receive ACH payments at no extra cost and send transfers to up to 80 different countries internationally. Oh, and did I mention that you can do all of that from anywhere that you want from their super user-friendly mobile app as well? So if you want to join thousands of businesses that have benefited from using Melio, you can try it for free by visiting go.melio.com/NMT. Thank you, Melio, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Whoever you can, because that one client, even if it's a free paid trial, is like, I need to put everything into it because this is the start to what could be great. Yeah. So we were taking on like absolutely everything in the beginning, and we found out that's the biggest headache in the world. As you guys probably know, there's a big difference between a client doing $50K a month paying you $2K a month than a client doing $1 million a month paying you $10K a month.
Yep.
The client that is making $1 million a month wants to be automatically billed, doesn't care what the amount is. The person that's doing $50K a month that you're putting in so many hours a week for profitably, and they're only paying $2K a month, like they're micromanaging you, like you're saying. And then on top of that, you have to also manage their emotions, which is a whole other thing to deal with in the agency space.
Yeah. Go into that, actually, the emotion piece, because I feel like that's, sorry to cut you off, but like we were talking about that before, where it's like at scale, say 50 plus clients in a sense, it's hard. The harder part's not actually doing the Facebook and the Google heads. It's just managing all these people. Like, how have you done that?
Psychology.
It's
like
not
even media buying.
It is. And again, I have an advantage because I was working in sales for quite a few years. So I understand it very well, like how to talk to customers or clients. But at the same time, first, to answer the question regarding my agency. So the current agency that I have, we're only taking on high quality clients that actually come from referrals. Like we haven't launched a single ad for our agency. We haven't, we're starting to do podcasts and all because we think it's worthwhile for sure. Like I appreciate you inviting us on, but at the same time, like we haven't sent a single cold email out. We haven't spent money on a single ad, et cetera, et cetera. Like we're only getting it from high quality referrals, and we get high quality clients, celebrity brands, no face brands, strictly like perfect product market fits, great CEOs, great COOs, great CMOs on the team. And we're only working with really high quality clients, and that has helped us so much. But to your point, the biggest value prop that I could give to an agency owner right now is you need to get better at predicting. You have to get better at predicting. You need to know if you're going to sign on this client, like Hormozy says, you need to, one, make an insanely good first impression. But two, you need to predict how that client's going to interact with you a week from onboarding, 2 weeks from onboarding, a month from onboarding. You need to predict what that relationship's going to be. You need to see how the account is scaling, or if it's not doing well, because that happens. You definitely have clients where you take them on and it's not what you expected, and that you have to recover results. So you have to predict ahead of time and understanding how is that going to impact the client? How is that extra time you're now going to need to take on that client going to impact the rest of your business? Like, getting better at predicting is where the money is being made right now, because that's where your systems come into play.
It's also like proactiveness instead of reactiveness.
Right.
Like a lot of clients, even if you're not doing an amazing job, if you're proactive and you're saying, hey, listen, like we're seeing some problems. Let's jump on a quick call on Thursday. Let's hash these out. We'd love to bounce some ideas back and forth with you. A lot of times they'll retain you longer because just of that communication.
Yep.
over the agency that's maybe getting slightly better results, but doesn't communicate, doesn't share performance reports, isn't willing to like go that extra mile and answer at like 5:30 p.m. on a Wednesday. Yep. Like the agencies that will just answer at like 5 p.m. And like you should set boundaries, but I think proactiveness instead of reactiveness is complementary to what you just said. Like just predicting what that next thing is going to be, working backwards, and then communicating how you're going to help solve that problem or help mitigate any risks that that may happen in the future. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, one thing I'm interested about agency, because I know like Kyle's dealt with this, I'm sure you dealt with this too, is like, all right, you guys do a really, really good job for say like, I don't know, 10 months, right? How do you deal with like the client being like, okay, you're doing great 10 months in, I'm so happy, but now you're billing me like 15, 20K
too
a
much.
month. And then you're like, well, I'm making you this. But then they're like, I understand that, but also I can hire 3 people to do what you're like. How do you deal with that conversation? I feel like that happens a lot in agency. We get up to a point where it's like, say you're doing $1 million a month. So you have some type of percent of like whatever, percent of spend, etc. You'll get to 20, 30, 40K a month, right? How do you fight through that type of thing?
So there's a couple things there. The first thing is you can't be unrealistic. You have to understand that there's going to be a churn rate. You're going to lose clients. We have only actually ever lost, because of performance, 1 client in the past 6 months. And we have over 50 clients right now. So you're going to have to expect churn. If you're billing a client 15K a month or 20K a month, even if they're making $1 million a month, there is a boundary where it gets to the point where they are watching you. And not from the sense of like making sure performance is good, but it's almost like a dollar in, dollar out. They're watching you. So with that being said, you have to make sure you understand your business life cycle. Like, how long is a customer actually expected to stay with you? And then 2, you have to make sure that you're not the same agency over those 6 months,
what do you mean by
10
that?
months. You need to make sure that it feels new to them.
Okay.
Because if you're with someone for 6 months, and maybe they're stagnant. Who knows? Maybe they're stagnant for 2 months. Because if they're scaling, they're probably not going to be like, oh, we care about how much we're being billed. If you're scaling them profitably, they're probably not going to care too much. But if they're stagnant for a month, they're going to start looking. And then if they're stagnant for 2 months, they're really going to start looking at you. So with that being said, you have to understand that they may think as their value proposition that if they get another agency, it's probably going to cost the same. But the value proposition for them is they're now going to have a new set of eyes on the business. And that's very valuable. So instead of having that as a value proposition for them, you need to be able to predict and be able to say, okay, what can I do if their business is stalling for a month, or if our invoice is getting to a point where it's passing like 10, 15K a month? Because usually around 9 to 10K is when that threshold breaks and the client starts like really watching what you do. You need to figure out how you can add additional value to the business. It can't feel like the same business as soon as you signed them on. It needs to be more. It needs to be different, or they're going to get and seek different.
No, it makes sense, because like I feel like that's the only issue that I've always seen in the agency world. Like, you can only charge so much. Like, even if the company's doing like 3 million a fucking month, like what are you gonna charge them, like 80 grand? It's like, you know what I mean? It just does, the numbers don't back out. But I've also seen kind of, if you go up market, like VaynerMedias of the world, stuff like that, those guys do charge 50, 100K retainers per month. You know what I mean? But I guess in the world that we're in with like e-commerce and brands like that, you kind of get stuck at that 10, maybe 15 mark, right?
Yeah.
That's what you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, there's the one guy, Eddie, I totally forget his last name.
Maloof?
You might be right.
Isn't that the guy who like...
Yeah, Eddie Maloof.
But he was originally taking like 5-figure invoices per month, and then figured out how he can get to 6-figure invoices.
What do you do?
It's all about like who he works with.
Oh, okay.
But it's like
the brand at the end of the day.
Right, but he's also making sure like he has the systems in place. Like there's no a business model like that. You have to be insane with predicting, because like you're going to have 40% margins, 30% margins, which in a service business actually isn't that much, because if you lose one of your clients that's paying you 100K a month, that is a lot of personnel that you have to manage. Like 100K a month can be 10 employees, 15 employees that you might have to actually put on a brand. But the reason I bring that up is a lot of agencies nowadays that just start an agency kind of get capped at that 2-3K a month invoice level, because they don't know how to portray enough value and give enough value to be able to invoice for more. And I actually really like that, because since we have an edge with business experience, we understand what value we can add in order to be able to charge 10, 15K a month. And I do actually know what we could do in order to charge 30, 40, 50K a month, but we're not there yet. We're getting close to there with a couple clients, but we're not at that point.
For sure. Can I ask, what are those things?
Yeah.
You want to talk about what those things are? I'm curious.
In terms of what we're doing?
Like what's the value add that you can get to that
what
level?
value that you can have to justify that increase?
For sure. So with any client, like we are Google. Like that is what we do. That is what I know best. We have insanely good partners that do Facebook, email, CRO. I mean, even landing page development, YouTube ad creatives, creative funneling, everything. So we have partners for everything, but we're strictly Google and YouTube. So if we sign someone on for Google, we are making sure that we are top notch with Google. But it gets to a point where when we sign on a client, oftentimes the first month, 2 months, maybe even 3 months, depending on where the brand is at, is taking over what they already have. And then we need to iterate on it because they're obviously switching agencies for one of a million reasons, but it's often because they want to see better results. So we need to iterate on what they have in order to beat their previous results. So that's what we're doing for the first few months. But after that, to break new barriers, there's different things that we're going to need to do. Like maybe they're going to need to get onto YouTube. And in order to get onto YouTube, you need a very specific process on YouTube. You need solid videos. You need solid like advertorials and bridge pages.
Yep.
So we can offer to them that service to be able to build landing pages,
For sure.
Get some YouTube creatives. We have a couple clients, since we have, again, like killer partners in other channels. If we have a client that's like a golden client to transition them from Google onto like Facebook or TikTok, etc., or email, like we can do that. We can take over everything and move them from the retainer that we are charging them over to either a bigger retainer or a percentage of revenue with a stipulation that we need to hit X margins. And we provide them value with those services. Like we're not just doing Google anymore. Now we're doing Google and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We're sticking with Google and our direct partners handling Facebook, etc. But the reason why that's so beneficial to a lot of clients is ththose clients that are at 100, 200, 300, 500K a month, it's hard to maintain scale on Google through cold acquisition if you're also not competing, but working alongside a Facebook ads agency that is separate from your own. Because if the Facebook ad agency has an issue where they have to scale down for whatever reason, maybe there's creative fatigue, maybe there's X, Y, and Z, it actually really affects Google. It really affects the overall brand ecosystem. Just like if I were to scale up on Google, Facebook is going to also more than likely get a higher return or be able to push more spend because we're creating a bigger ecosystem from the search intent that we're getting from Google. So it's a push and pull, and it's better to have one agency as a whole if it can be managed. It's very hard to find a company that can manage everything. If you can do that, it's much more beneficial because then that company knows the entire business and how every single aspect of it is doing instead of just Google itself.
I think this is cool that you brought this up because like I feel most people think of Shopify e-commerce and you think Facebook and Instagram ads.
Yeah.
Google's always like the second child in the back. Like how the fuck does this work?
It's not as sexy.
It's not as sexy, right? Because I think a lot of it's because it's not demand creation. It's more like demand like collecting in a sense, right? It's more like
at least on Google, yeah.
At least right, like people are searching these terms, like they're like you know better than I do, obviously. Like people are searching these stuff, people are looking for this stuff, but like you're not bringing new people into that whole ecosystem.
There's got to be existing demand.
Like how do you scale Google really?
So it's very dependent on the product that you have and the product market fit. But when you look at Google, I'll actually take a step back from what you said.
No, for sure.
Most people know how to scale their brand via what they've done on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, but there also is another route that you're able to go, and I wish more brands did start with it. Instead of starting on Facebook and then retargeting on Google, you can start on Google and retarget on Facebook. And it's actually much more consistent to do it that way. And this one brand that we're scaling up from 2K a day to now 8K a day at a 35% margin is that exact example. We started on Google and expanded onto Facebook. It's much more it's much more fluid because we don't have to consistently test creatives. We just need to make sure that over time we're narrowing down the keyword list and the ads and the product pages to what is converting best. And as long as we understand where the market is going to be with search intent, we don't necessarily have to worry about, oh, this creative's dying. We need to keep cycling out creatives. And then we can also retarget on Google, but also...
What's up, New Money Talks fam? Quick one for our sponsors over at PrimeCord. If you've ever wanted to build your own e-commerce business, but you haven't gotten started yet, you're probably just overwhelmed with the amount of information that's out there with people telling you what to do. But the guys in PrimeCord, Andrew and Kevin, know what they're doing. They're multi-seven-figure dropshippers that have been doing this for years. They've done millions and millions of dollars in sales profitably. And in this Discord coaching community, they teach you everything that you need to know to launch and to scale your own e-commerce business. And they break it down in a way that's very simple and easy to understand, which is best of all, because there's a lot of information out there, a lot of misinformation from people that are teaching the wrong things and don't even do it themselves. These guys are the real deal. So if you want to learn more about what it is that they do, about the coaching community, have a group of people who are all growing together and holding each other accountable to hitting certain goals or to learning new things, then definitely check out PrimeCord. We're going to have the link somewhere in the description of this video. Now back to the podcast.
Retarget on Facebook and have that consistency. So the reason I bring that up is you can start on Google instead of starting on Facebook. But if you start on Facebook, you have to understand if you're trying to scale Google, most people already have it set up for retargeting. But if you're looking to scale, it's going to be like Facebook. You're going to get a lower return in the beginning because what you're doing is you're bringing in more top of funnel, more less aware customers into your business, into your ecosystem. And so these guys are now then going to find you on Facebook and convert on Facebook. So Facebook's going to start looking better and TikTok's going to start looking better. Email's going to start looking better. So like, you have to consider that if you're going to scale on Google, you need to make sure you reiterate to your client that maybe our top of funnel campaigns are going to resonate what you are seeing on Facebook, but we're going to be able to push them and you'll see how it affects the overall ecosystem.
So like as the Google guy, how do you, so like fuck Facebook and Instagram, how do you start on Google? Like say you were, the problem with, what I was about to ask was like, well, how do you start a brand on Google? Obviously like most of this shit, it's hard to start any type of thing with Facebook, Instagram, or Google.
Yeah.
Most of the brands you're working with have that product market fit, obviously. But say you were to take on a client on Google, say doing, I don't know, $300K a month right now, right?
Yeah.
How do you, like what's the process of what do you do to kind of go in there and be like, okay, I see the current numbers. I'm going to make this better by X, Y, Z. Like what does that process even look like? 'Cause I'm actually curious for myself.
So I'll take a step back and I'll drop a gem. So
perfect.
If you're drop shipping and you're looking to get into Google and you have the ability not to go into the US, I wouldn't because of how damn hard it is to be successful in the US nowadays. If you have to, just apply the same concept, but I would try to go into EU markets if you can. Get a general store, shit ton of products, 300, 500 products, as many as you can get. Drop shipping, unfortunately, but get as many as you can get approved, advertise them on Google through shopping campaigns at very, very low bids. And over time, you're going to find that certain products start pulling through and are just weirdly getting sales. Like, dude, you can find like one of the pet cleaners to like get hair off of cats might just start popping off. But you might have little things like the, I don't know, like the hair reversal bar or the a kitchen oven or a toaster oven, something of the sort might just pop off in those 300 products at such low bids. And then what I would do is I would take that product and build a single product store for it specifically. Because if I'm getting such low bids on a stereotypical default theme page dropshipping store on Shopify, then if I build out an entire ecosystem for this on a niche brand and make that the brand, and put 80% of the attention there, it's going to pop off. And then I just repeat the process.
What's the type of budget that you need per product test on Google relative to like Facebook or TikTok? Is it a lot less? Because 300 products to test that,
you're not
typically is a lot.
So it's the bid. Product testing is very different on Google than it is on Facebook. For instance, it's hard to articulate. So on Google, if I have 300 products and I launch them all into a campaign, Google is going to filter through to those that Google thinks people are going to purchase. Now, sure, Google can be wrong. Google can be right. But realistically, if we have like 100 products that we're looking to test, if we're seeing that a certain product's getting a really good click-through rate, we're probably going to keep it active, even if it spent $10, $20. Like, we're going to keep it active because we see it has a good click-through rate, a good cost per click. But if we see products of a reasonable price range aren't doing that well, they're not getting a good click-through rate, it's probably showing to us that it's not a good product market fit. But I will double down and say it's almost like if it's a winner, you're going to know it's a winner. And I know they say that on Facebook all the time, but it's honestly much more different on Google. You could spend $5 and get like 2 sales on a product that is just popping off on Google. Because you're going to get lucky in the sense of, when I say luck, I mean you're going to have a shit ton of products. And as long as you filter through a good amount of those products, you're more than likely going to find a product that you're just like, it's weird how at a 30-cent cost per click, I'm consistently getting sales with this product.
So you can get a cost per click for 30 cents on Google? I thought everything was like $3, $5 on Google.
It depends. So like if you're going in the US, it's going to be much higher, but you can also find 30-cent cost per clicks in the US with products that aren't being sold. Like for instance, I was just on a Discord chat and speaking about this. The pheromone perfume, you guys have probably seen that. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. The pheromone perfume. That's a really good example of something. If I were to then advertise it on Google, at the time of when that started, it was more than likely like 10, 20, 30, 40 cents to go after pheromone perfume, pheromone cologne, or pheromone cologne TikTok, etc., to go after those keywords because no one was really searching for it, or a very low amount of people were searching for it. But if I go after something like, I don't know, living room furniture set or microphone, et cetera, I'm going after products that people are actually commonly going after. So I'm going to have to pay quite a bit for it.
That makes sense. Yeah, that thing did pop off, fucking pheromones.
It did. But like, I would, if I was getting back into dropshipping, that's exactly what I would do. I personally would go into an EU market, European market, and I would put up a dropshipping store and I would advertise a ton of products, 300, 500, and I would not give any product any specific advantage. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to tailor a landing page to look better than another. I'm going to make it a solid test for all of them. Exactly. And then as soon as I see signs of success, before I create a niche store, what I'll probably do is pull that product out of that catch-all shopping campaign, put it in its own, and see if at a slightly higher scale, I get more sales consistently. Because then I know if I go and put it on a niche dropshipping or a niche store, I could scale it up for sure.
Interesting.
So on average, what type of budget would you be working with per product before you make the decision to stop it? Like obviously it depends on target CPA margins, but like rule of thumb on 100 products, would you say like an average of like $30 a product, $50 a product, less?
It's going to depend on the product price, but I will say I would assume like a 1 to 2% conversion rate on the product. And then you assume, okay, well, what cost per click are you getting? Because you have to sort through products. If you have 100, it makes it tough because you can't spend $100 on all of those products. You're spending $10,000. Yeah.
But even that $10,000 to possibly get a 6-figure month business is nothing.
No, for sure. But these guys getting into drop shipping, they might not be able to do that. Yeah. And so what I will say is it's not what you think. You're not just putting up 100 products and then you have to go through them one by one. That's not how it works on Google. How it works on Google is you are setting up a much lower cost per click. Like you're setting your bid, almost like if I was setting a cost cap on Facebook.
It's not going to spend if it's not getting you that result.
Right. If I can't get a 30-cent cost per click, it is not going to show up for that product. So, and it's not going to work to where if I have 100 products or 300 products and I'm setting a 30-cent cost per click, if one of those products, it's not just going to go to one of those products. It's going to spread that out amongst all of the products that can get a 30-cent cost per click. And with that being said, I typically try to look at it like I assume a 1 to 2% conversion rate, depending on the product, the price. And then can I sacrifice, okay, if I'm putting a 30-cent CPC, 40-cent CPC, 50, 60, $1, depending on the product, can I sacrifice that budget at a 1 to 2% conversion rate? And that's how I'm looking at it. I don't set a specific price point to how much I'm willing to spend. But if I see that a product has 100 clicks, that means I spent $30, $40 on this product without a sale, which if it's a winner, that's not a winner because a product that has 100 clicks and it is a winner, you're probably going to see, 2, 3 sales from that, 4 sales from that. Yeah. Because again, it's not like Facebook. You're going based on search intent. People are searching for this product.
That's true.
And if you get 100 clicks on a product that you're specifically searching for, you damn well better get some sales from that. So
that's super interesting. So a lot of people listening, they think the only way to succeed with drop shipping is to test products on Facebook in the US. Yeah. Now you're saying that, and I would agree with a more efficient way of testing, since you're already capitalizing on people who have that high search intent, is getting over on Google, but not only on Google, but Google in the EU markets, because there's less competition, lower costs. So I think that's like really smart. I think if someone does either of those two things, either tries Google if they haven't succeeded with Facebook, or tries the EU market if they haven't succeeded with the US market, like you'll find that balance. But EU is cool. Like I got into the EU market. I was a little bit overwhelmed with all the payment processing. I didn't have a payment processor, scaled the product up to like 10K a day. Yeah. And I was like really fast, really profitably. I was like, this is crazy. And then like revenue started dipping a little. I start talking to some people. They're like, well, do you have Klarna? I'm like, no. I'm like, I even just took off PayPal. And they were like, well, if you got a PayPal hold, you took PayPal off and you don't have Klarna, money's not going to be coming in. But if you have the processing in place, EU is amazing. Like I know so many people that are doing way better in the EU than the US, and that give a lot of credit to guys that do succeed in the US because it's harder.
Yeah, and in the EU, they have very specific processors.
Yeah,
like I forget what the Swiss one is. I'm probably gonna butcher it. I think it's Twint. Really good Swiss processor, but you have to have it. Like if you want to succeed in the Swiss markets, you're gonna have to have that. Double down. If you're in Norway, you need to have Klarna.
Yep.
If you don't have Klarna in Norway, you're gonna get screwed over.
And like Germany, right? Like that's where I was selling. I was selling in Germany. I sold in France with a credit card processor, did okay. Sold in Germany, it just like crushed it. Then I was like, well, I got to get a UK LTD. I got to form all this stuff. And then you have like the VAT tax and all these things that you're worrying about as a US resident, that if you like overcomplicate those things like I did, you miss out on a great opportunity to just like hit the gas, figure all that out later as you go.
Absolutely. You know? And there are ways to figure that out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you can do, but another gem, if you guys are newer to drop shipping, like in general, like the audience, if they're newer to drop shipping, don't immediately start looking at drop shippers, because drop shippers are late to the party. They're so late to the party. Look at affiliate marketers. Affiliate marketers and native advertisers have been in this 10 times as long as these drop shippers. They have been in the market for so long. And that's where I learned a lot of my knowledge regarding what I do for drop shipping, because these affiliate marketers, dude, they knew from the beginning, if I don't have the budget to advertise in the US, UK, Canada, etc., because we think, okay, if we can't advertise in the US, then let's go to the UK because it's going to be 33% cheaper. Oh, if you can't advertise in the UK, then go to Australia because it's going to be even cheaper. Yeah. Well, okay, that's still considered a tier 1 country. That's still a more affluent country. Affiliate marketers knew this way ahead of time. And so if you don't have the budget to enter into the tier 1 countries, go to tier 2. If you don't have a budget to go into tier 2, go into tier 3. And tier 3, I mean, you're working with like dirt poor countries. So it might be, you're working with like penny clicks, 5-cent cost per clicks. So you might not be able to do stereotypical dropshipping. You might actually have to do affiliate marketing, but they knew this ahead of time. And they knew like, okay, if I'm a new fish in the sea, there's no way I'm going to be doing this in the US. I'm going to a country like France. I'm going to Sweden. I'm going to Mexico. I'm trying this in a tier 2 country where it's going to cost me so much less to do the same exact work that I would be in the US. I'm just going to spend less, get a lower return, but still be able to play the game that these guys in tier 1 countries are playing.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. There's literally like over 300 countries or something like that, and people only advertise to like 5.
Yeah,
traditionally.
Well, when did you come across like affiliate marketing in that whole entire world too?
Like 2017.
Really?
Yeah, I've known about affiliate marketing for a long time.
Did you sell through offers and stuff like that? You
sell different offers? ClickBank. Yeah. What is it? Max Bounty. There's so many. Digistore. Mm-hmm. And then that was in the beginning, and now I only sell private offers a lot of the time, but that aren't listed on any of these. Yeah. But ClickBank, like you guys probably know, at one point it was Alpaline. If you guys have heard of it, on ClickBank, maybe 6-ish months ago, they had an offer that everyone was just getting in.
Okay.
Alpaline, and
what the hell's Alpaline?
it was like a weight loss supplement that you could get an affiliate commission of like 90% on.
Really?
So if someone got a $200 sale, you're making 90% of that as your revenue. And of course you have probably like a 5% refund rate, but you don't have to worry about COGS. You don't have to worry about shipping. You don't have to worry about customer support.
What's up, New Money Talks fam? Have you ever wanted a personal sales force for your e-commerce brand? If so, you probably haven't heard of the new kid on the block, Feel.tech. Feel is an e-commerce selling solution for D2C brands that want to provide interactive purchase experiences to their customers and streamline the actual sales cycle of a buyer. With AI-driven product recommendations, try before you buy features, and live assistance and support, FieldTech users often see a substantial lift in their customer AOV, a decrease in their acquisition costs, and an improvement in their conversion rate. Imagine you're buying a new laptop and Apple offered a virtual live experience in which they can demo the product for you, show you all of the specs and features that you want, and answer all of your questions simultaneously. Not only would that probably increase your likelihood of buying, but it'll also actively decrease the amount of customer concerns that Apple is now going to receive. Now you're probably thinking, with a solution that's this good, probably costs a lot of money. Wrong. FieldTech actually only charges a percentage of the new sales that they bring you that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten without them. So if you run a D2C brand that is looking for an elevated purchasing experience for their customers, so if you run a brand that could use a virtual sales force or that wants to offer virtual sales experiences to their customers, then check out the link below this video or visit feel.tech. And as always, make sure to mention that New Money Talks sent you so you can get that New Money Talks white glove onboarding experience. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Fulfillment, anything. You're just worrying about the ads, which which Alpaline, the company itself, already gives you landing pages to run to, video sales letters, VSLs to run to. They give you all the creatives that you should run. They give you so much.
Jeez.
So you just need to have that advertising skill and that know-how to be able to succeed in that niche.
Yeah, my buddy was he was ripping car insurance leads.
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago. He was making like 10,000, 11,000 profit a day. Like he's showing me the dashboard of like 15K a day. I'm like, wait, I'm doing 15K a day too, but I'm only clearing like 1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Like with e-commerce, with dropshipping, he was clearing like 10, 11 a day, but it burnt out after like 30 days. Well, that's the only thing different thing about
I'm going to act like an idiot here though. So like, say ClickBank, this offer, for example, how do you track all, like how do you know you're going to get paid for all this shit? Because you're spending up front your own money on the ad budget, right?
Well, you don't know that you're going to, right? Like if you're a shitty advertiser.
No. So like for example, you find that offer on ClickBank, sales, right? How do you how do they know that the traffic came from you, that sale came from you?
Yep.
Unique link.
Yeah, your hop link. So
it's called a hop link?
It's called a hop link. So you claim your link from the platform, like ClickBank, and you drive traffic to that hop link. But oftentimes this is like a risky game. Not risky in the sense of like being illegal. It's just a hard game to be in, and it's considered black hat. A lot of what you do in the affiliate world is black hat. That's why I'm telling you, like, if you guys are drop shippers, get in affiliate marketing. Like, understand, watch affiliate world conferences, watch all of these affiliate events, all the ones in non-US languages. Like, watch them. Watch the captions. These guys are nuts. But the fact that they understand how to advertise, how to get around all of these policies on Facebook, TikTok, etc. You're running bridge pages. You're cloaking your links so that you TikTok, Facebook doesn't see how you're.
Because you're selling fucking crazy pills this whole fucking time.
Pills, or for instance, what's popping off right now is debt relief. So like you're selling leads for debt relief because the economy.
So how do you buy ads for this shit? You just have to do all this other cloaking and fucking.
Right. So
you need an umbrella, for God's sake.
You're using X, Y, and Z software for. I'm not going to give them all away, but you're cloaking your.
You want to buy his course, link below. No.
You have to cloak your link. You got to make sure you're clearing your metadata on your ads. You're cycling through ads all the time. You might need whitelisted accounts, whitelisted ads. You might need reps that are doing this for you, helping you actually clear it. We've had guys actually screw us over because we were supplying white hat accounts, like really white hat, meaning it's like clear and concise. This product doesn't have any restrictions, doesn't violate any policies. Black hat means like they're fully violating like every single policy. They are forbidden.
Dick pills.
Right, exactly. And So we would offer them white hat accounts because you may have gotten suspended on Google, suspended on Facebook, and you just can't get a profile active or anything of the sort. And you have an established brand, so you might need an agency account to be able to run it again sustainably. And we would offer them to people, and what would happen is they would then run it for like a week on a white hat, run something white hat for like a week, and then immediately go black hat and shut down the agency accounts. So there are people that are trying to find workarounds, but there are a ton. But it's a very lucrative niche. Affiliate marketing is very, very lucrative, so much more lucrative than drop shipping, but it's also hard. It is very hard.
I feel like there's a lot of risk though too. Like actually,
no risk.
In the beginning, the risk is like
it's just ad spend. But like with e-commerce, it's ad spend, it's cost of goods.
But you're not getting paid the next day, are you?
Some of them are like net 7, net 14.
Like if you're a good spender, you can get.
It's like on ClickBank, this dick pill, whatever you're talking about, whatever the hell it was. What was the name of it?
Weight loss.
Cleopatra? What the fuck was it? Alpaline.
It was weight loss.
Whatever the fuck it is. That doesn't make a difference.
No, they had the dick pills though. It was like Red X or something.
So like this, you have your link or whatever, you get a sale. When do you get paid for this fucking shit?
So in the beginning, it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's once a week. But then when we became like a super affiliate, they paid you out twice a week.
Got it. So like you should get paid.
But if you're working for car loans and doing car loans and getting quotes for car insurance and stuff, if you're getting private sellers, because a lot of the times you actually need to have a private seller to do car loans, it's often net 30, which is hard. Like that's again, like how is the stereotypical newbie dropshipper that's now trying affiliate marketing going to get into a business where they're going to spend $100 a day or $1,000 a day? Like no way. And then they're not getting paid for another 30 days. It's tough. It's a very tough niche to get in, but it's extremely lucrative if you can figure it out.
If you can figure it out, like the top-notch guys.
There are a lot of guys in the space that were doing Alpaline making hundreds of thousands of dollars a day at 50-60% margins.
Damn, nuts. So they're making like 100K profit a day pretty much, some of these motherfuckers.
It's funny, like the e-commerce guys that are big, like you'll see them, you'll know them. They're flexing 100K a month. The affiliate guys, are the ones that are any of them. You don't know them. They're behind the scenes. You'll never know their names.
Well, they can't be known because
they don't have an Instagram account.
These guys. I know ecom guys that have turned black hat, and I resent them because like they're doing really, really immoral shit with ecom, like black hat MRR. But these affiliate guys that know what they're doing, you will not hear about them. You will have no clue who they are. You'll show up at an affiliate event, and then you'll meet them at the after party. They won't be at the event. They'll be at the after party. But yeah, you will not see these guys, and they're just raking in like 500K a week, $1 million a day. Like there are some nuts guys.
Damn.
We have a whole playbook for black hat advertising, and the guy that we got it from was doing 500K to $1 million a day. Like that's just absurd. You don't hear those numbers in the ecom world.
You don't hear that in most worlds.
No. But when you think about it, I could talk about native advertising and affiliate all day long, but these guys have like native advertising has been around for so long that, for instance, if you go to like AOL.
So sorry to cut you off. Native advertising, what does that mean?
Like if you guys have ever heard of like Taboola, Outbrain, etc., that's native advertising. So if you're advertising on, I don't know, I'll give you an example.
It's like browser ads that aren't Google. Well, like it's powered through Google, but if you go to like an article, for example, and you see all those ads on the side, like that's pretty much native ads.
When I say native, it's honestly the only way to think about it. Like when you think of Facebook, when you think of Google, when you think of Bing, when you think of native, Outbrain, Taboola, they just all own different placements. So you can just, when I say placement, it's just a position for where you put your ad. Like everyone owns a different placement. And these native advertising businesses have been around for so long. But for instance, these guys, like when you get to the high level game, affiliate marketing is nuts because, for instance, with Taboola, let's say you're advertising on Taboola and I figure out a way to advertise those, the Alpaline or the dick pills, whatever. If I'm figuring out a way to do that and I'm spending more than 20K a month, I can get an account manager from Taboola or from Outbrain or from MGID, any of these native advertising platforms, and have someone that all they do is work on your account. Like you're not even media buying as much anymore. They're working on your account full time. And they're pretty damn good. Like it's not just a newbie hopping in.
Yeah.
But to double down on that, you get up to like 100K a month in spend and you get a next level rep. And then to triple down on that, it gets so big in the space that when I talk about these placements that you can get on like Yahoo, AOL, news articles, etc., you can hard code, or you can get those placements hard coded in there. Meaning if I have an ad for Alpiline, they would never do it for Alpiline, but they would do it for something like White Hat, something that follows policy.
Yeah.
You can pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a month or millions a month to get that ad hard coded in the website so that it always shows up. Like there are levels to this.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Google's the same way. Google has different tiers of reps. They have UMM, which is the lowest. If you open up a Google Ads account, you're going to get a UMM rep that hits you up. That's like, hey, let's get on a call.
Yeah.
You have Engage, you have mid-market team. You have AGT, their accelerated growth team. You have LCS, which is large client sales. So like they have a team of 6 that will go and work on Coca-Cola or Nestle. So it's in every business, but it's a different level of support.
Yeah, this is like whole different level of shit. I'm happy we got
It's a different world. They're like, yeah,
it's a whole different world.
It's also, I've seen more people stay with affiliate marketing than I've seen people stay with drop shipping. So like, I think it's hard to penetrate, but like once you do figure it out, it's like, I'm not thinking, let me build an agency, let me build an e-commerce brand. I'm not thinking those things. I'm just hitting my foot on the gas and capitalizing on it. Whereas e-commerce brand owners are always like, oh, like inventory, customer support, ads, like all this shit sucks. Like I really want to maybe dabble in the agency space so I don't have to deal with all these customers or ads or volatility, and I can just get paid from someone else.
Why don't you just rip one of these fucking things? Fuck the agency at this point.
Oh, I have. Well, I have. I did Alpiline. I did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I've done agency. I've done affiliate. I've done debt relief. I've done car loans. I've done a million different things. And while I do like it, I'm not extremely materialistic to where I'm like, I just need to make 100K a day so I can do whatever I want. It's not, or like get whatever I want. I'm not like that. And I'm at the point right now where I almost have resentment to myself to where I failed with digital wealth in the sense that, I didn't build it in the way that I wanted to.
Oh, we didn't even talk
Digital
about
Wealth was the previous agency that I owned, the Google Ads agency. We were crushing service delivery. It was such a good agency, but we couldn't grow it past a certain point. And it was honestly, it was our own fault. But like I resent myself for not being able to, and I know exactly why. But with Vysta, it's just not the same story. Like I know exactly what went wrong, and it has already been fixed, and we're scaling beyond that.
You want to talk about that shit?
Sure. So Vysta is my new Google Ads agency. I partnered with Kian Kazravi. He's in the UK. He's a beast dropshipper and turned agency guy. But he was originally a client over at Digital Wealth, and he was just fascinated by Google. He was just blown away because it was completely different than Facebook, and he had run up quite a few 7-figure dropshipping stores. But we eventually met up online after he had stopped being a client and that store had shut down. And we were just talking. We ran up a couple stores together, and then after parting ways with Digital Wealth, we started working together and actually formed the agency Vysta together. And again, he's like a yin and yang here, because I'm so good at working on a business and understanding the entire ecosystem. And he's so good at understanding what the CEO is thinking because he's built so many of 7-figure businesses himself.
CEO, yeah.
Exactly. So the issue with Digital Wealth was we couldn't grow past we couldn't scale because of systems. And we honestly just didn't put enough time into it. But with Vysta, that was just the first thing we solved. And we have so much experience in it because we have been running agency for years now that we were able to knock that out.
Run me through what are some of these systems that you were lacking that you built now?
Dude, it's very stereotypical. Like we needed to make sure that everything was covered. We need to make sure that, if we're hiring someone, we need from the moment that application is brought in to the moment an employee wants to leave or is offboarded, everything in between there needs to be covered. That's one segment, right? Service delivery, from the moment a client is onboarded, or even take a step back, from a moment a client comes in as a lead to a client being offboarded, We need everything in between there systematized. Everything needs a number. I shouldn't go into a part of my business and not know what the hell is going on. And at times, because we were growing so fast with digital wealth, I felt like that. We had service delivery covered, but there were certain aspects of it that were falling through the cracks, like not with service, but with like bringing on new leads or fulfilling certain systems.
So what, like people wouldn't show up to calls and stuff like that, this type of shit?
Not even that. It was more so we wouldn't have enough time to hop on calls with clients all the time because we were too busy in the accounts, or we would not be able to spend as much time with the employees that like our media buyers or our full-time account managers. Like we wouldn't be able to have as much time for them because we were so busy in our accounts, not focusing on systems. So that was the number one thing that we were fixing with Vysta, and it's made things so much easier because everything is predictable and systematized.
Do you write these things down? Like the whole system and everything?
Yeah.
Like where you
write them down.
Where you writing this fucking shit? Notion or something?
No, I mean, a lot of it's, actually.
You guys laugh, but like, go fuck yourself. I'm trying to fucking learn this shit.
He sees like the notion that I built out for the podcast.
Well, he made some stupid notion.
He's like, this is too
everything.
much. This is crazy.
I write nothing, so I'm trying to see what you mean by this.
There's pretty good CRM softwares out there that are free. Like you can use Airtable, which is like a big sandbox.
I know Airtable, yeah.
But no, a lot of what we do is honestly in Excel spreadsheets. A lot of what we do is in Airtable. It's in certain CRM softwares, but it's spread out, but it's not unreachable. It's not like we have to keep like, oh, we have to go here for this, here for this, here for this. It's all centralized.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. And that's what these other agency guys, and this is what I'm saying about having a low barrier to entry. That's what these guys are messing up. They're getting to a point where they're making like $50K a month, and then service delivery tanks, or they're making $100K a month, service delivery tanks. And so they pivot, and you see these guys now aren't advertising as much in Google and servicing brands. And instead they're moving away, and now they're teaching people how to get to $100K a month or $150K a month or something of the sort because they can't scale past it, or they can scale past it, but they can't scale past it as fast as they would if they introduced a different service.
Interesting.
So that's what I don't want. And I don't want these guys to get a misconception of what a Google Ads agency is, because right now it is being shit on. And it's just guys like, oh, bringing you on board, immediately outsourced to a media buyer that's never going to talk to you. And then you have an account manager that's maybe going to hit you up once every week. And it's a horrible business model. So we're trying to fix that and like set the standard, which we have been able to do with a lot of really strong clients, to set the standard of what to expect from a Google Ads media buying agency. And we've had, of the 2 clients that have left us, one for performance, one because we scaled them too fast. The one that we scaled too fast went with another client, or went with another agency, and that agency immediately shit the bed for them. And now his ads are doing nowhere near as well as they would be going into Q4. But it's because the client was enamored by the fact that they're only going to have to pay $1,000 a month to work with this guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's setting the bar really low, and it's ruining what the reputation is for Google Ads.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, SOPs is a super important thing. Like it's only something that I started to get fixated on, because everyone's thought once they do start making money is, okay, like how do I buy my time back? And SOPs is probably the best way to do that. It's like anything that you do, you can document it. You can record it. You can film a video. You can write it down so that the next person who's just as smart as you, because everyone thinks like, oh, I'm the only person that can do this well. But like, newsflash, you're not. Anyone can do what you're doing if you properly train them how to do it, or if they come in with like a little bit of experience and then you give them a little bit of training or a little bit of like, railway guideway on how to do something.
Yeah.
And so just by documenting it now, it might take a little bit more time, but it'll save you infinitely more time moving forward, having to retrain someone on how to do something, or remind someone how to submit a performance report every week or communicate. So like, SOPs are important.
So one of the things that I've been saying a lot over the past couple of years is you don't know what you don't know. And that's an issue when scaling a business, because if you know service delivery and media buying, but you don't know how to build a business, you are going to crack. And it's going to start with your service delivery. It's going to start falling off. And you're going to have a couple clients that leave you. And then you're going to have a lot of clients that leave you. And you're going to ruin your reputation in the space. So a lot of these guys in the space have media buying down, but they do not have business down. They do not understand how to grow a business. And you can't be a media buyer for X number of companies if you don't know how to grow a business. If I, with my almost decade of experience, can't translate that experience over to someone that already has 5 years of media buying experience to get them up to where I'm at and be able to have performance management systems, a scorecard to be able to say, this is what we expect. Yeah. This is your number. And we're able to review that weekly, monthly, quarterly, et cetera. If we're not able to do that as a company, then we're going to crack with service delivery.
Yeah. This is like EOS type of stuff, right?
Yeah. So What the Heck is EOS is definitely a good book for people to jump into, like understanding business. But then Tommy, if you could look up real quick, Scaling Up. We got Tommy just sitting over here. But if you could look up Scaling Up, I think it's Vern Harnish. I totally could be butchering the author's name. Don't want to do a disservice. But I would go, What the Heck is EOS? And then if you guys have the time, Vern Harnish. Yeah. So start with What the Heck is EOS? And then that line by, wow, that is so messed up. Look up the line that did What the Heck is EOS? They have like the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And they have a couple other books. They're all extremely well written and they help you get a really good basic, I want to emphasize basic understanding of business. It might seem like a lot, but it is a very basic understanding of business. Gino Wickman's the author of it. And then you can get into Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. It takes What the Heck is EOS and puts it on steroids. And then you can get up to like Growing Pains by Eric Flamholtz, which puts Scaling Up on steroids. It's a very boring book, but it's probably one of the most valuable books out there right now. It's not a rich dad, poor dad book. It's like, no, if you want to learn business and how to grow a business, read Growing Pains by Eric Flamholtz. Yes. Yeah. It's a very...
because even like the scorecard stuff and everything you're talking about, that's all they talk about in all this shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to, I mean, they say it in Walmart all the time. You need to be able to go and add any part of your business and that employee has a number. And that number is a representation of like, what is their score and you should be able to go up to any of your employees and say, what are you responsible for? And what are your targets? What are your goals? How do you know if you're doing well? How do you know if you're not doing well? You should be able to go up to them and they know if they are doing well or not. And I think a lot of employees, because a lot of guys are just outsourcing to, I don't know, like India, Morocco, et cetera. And just Hail Mary, like hoping it works, when in actuality, you got to be treating the employees you have on your team, even in a media buying business, like they are employees in a company that is running multi-million-dollar businesses. You got to know how they're doing. They need to know what success looks like for them.
Yeah. I like that. You just taught me a bunch of shit. Because I've read the fucking book, but I was like, fuck this. And like, you're actually doing it. So like, it makes a lot of sense.
Not enough people have like an analytical way of dictating a team member's performance. It's kind of like emotional. It's like, oh, well, did it look like you were working harder than that person? Yeah. It's like, no, did you fulfill the amount of orders that you were supposed to?
Yep.
Yes or no, or at what range? Did you proactively communicate with the client when inventory was getting low, right? So there's like measures that you can put in place that you can associate numbers to and then numerically judge them instead of just emotionally hit them up, be like, hey, like you haven't been doing a good job. It's like, no, there's an undeniable track record that you've been underperforming the things that we put in place for you to be up to standard on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That was good stuff. I'm hungry.
Yeah. Let's. How long did we go? Let's see. We're an hour and 6 minutes.
Jeez. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, yeah. Where do you guys see the agency space in a year from now?
I'll tell you my personal opinion on the agency space. The one reason I hate the agency space as like a business to own in like the Facebook, Google world is that as an owner of an agency, you don't really, let me take my step back. If you're not fully, really, really good, you don't have full control as to what happens the next day. So you can wake up one morning and the Facebook ad account's fucking banned. And that's like the whole reason why the guy's paying you $3K a month or $4K a month because of that. So now you're going to waste 20 days if you don't know what the hell to do to get a Facebook ad account back up. And then you just lost a client. Like, I hate that where it's like, I have no control as to like what's happening in a sense. That's why I try to like, you might be like laughing because you're like, well, I know exactly what the fuck to do. But like in reality, like that's why I hate the agency world within the e-commerce space, because it's so uncontrollable in a sense.
Yeah.
You have to read the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. One of the main things that he says is like, you have to be able to let go of the vine when you're building a business. You have to let go of the vine eventually.
What do you mean by vine?
Like certain parts of your business. Because for instance, like if you are a business owner scaling 30K a day or 3K a day and you're doing 100K a month or $1 million a month, you can't manage everything. You can't. And you're eventually going to have to get to the point where you start letting go of certain things of your business. And instead of working in the business, you're working on the business, because that's the only way you're going to be able to grow it. Wouldn't it be much better to, of course, vet the agency that you're working with, but instead of having to do all the media buying, which can take for you 20, 30 hours, 40 hours a week, because you're not maybe the best person for that spot, instead of doing that, you can now pull out of it and manage someone that's doing it for 5 hours a week and spend that 25 to 35 hours doing something else that's going to be impactful on your business.
Oh, of course.
So that's what I mean by letting go of the vine.
No, from a brand owner's perspective, I see that. I understand that pitch. I'm saying as an agency owner, there's always that annoyance in the agency world where like you don't have that day-to-day control, because like all these platforms are controlling the business.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant.
Gotcha.
That's what I meant. Yeah. I thought when you asked, how you see the agency, well, that's the piece that I meant from like an owner of an agency.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to scale one of these fucking things.
Especially being someone who's primarily servicing one platform. Because if Google's gone today, like you might have to spend a month to help them get it back up. And then, is it justified to charge them? Or,
yeah. The good thing about where we're at is Keon started on Facebook and he's really damn good at Facebook. And I've been in the game almost a decade, so I know Facebook really damn well. But like with what you're saying, there's so many ways around it. And I'll give you an example. One, vet well. So like, I'm not going to take on any client that walks up to me. No, like you need to have an established business. We only have maybe 2 dropshippers as clients. And the only reason we have them as dropshippers is because the CEOs are so damn well put together that they know what they need to do. And they also listen to us for what they should not be doing in order to avoid suspension. We need to vet who we take on, because that's going to lower the chance for someone to get suspended on X, Y, and Z. Double down. If you have a lot of clients, you're going to need to eventually fulfill for that position. So for instance, it's Q4. So I released a tweet recently it's the Q4 ban wave on Google Merchant Centers. Mm-hmm. So your Google Merchant Center, in order to get your shopping products live, you have to go through the Google Merchant Center, and Google bans that like there's no tomorrow, especially in Q4, especially if you're a drop shipper. So we have full-time employees, and all they do is suspension prevention when a client signs on. And 2, if a client ever gets suspended, that is all they are doing. So like we have employees that specifically work on suspension prevention and resolution if it happens.
So just sit there all day, be like, all right, I get this account back or whatever.
Yeah.
Jeez. And they just know everything to do to like try
and that's to get it all back. They do.
That's smart.
You eventually get to that point, because I don't want to lose a client paying 10K a month or 6K a month.
Some stupid ad ban.
Because of a ban, which could be their fault. Like for instance, if they submit a product on Shopify that has images from AliExpress and it automatically feeds into the Google Merchant Center, that automatically could ban the Merchant Center for misrepresentation.
Yeah.
And there's not always something that we can do there.
Yeah. We've recently had some Facebook accounts that we were spending like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a day in. Out of nowhere, they just came down to a $50 spend limit. Like out of nowhere, like no rejected ads, no bans, nothing. That's where being an agency owner sucks sometimes, because there's a lot of variables outside of your control, which is why like the only answer to that is to hedge it with volume of just quality clients. So like if that does happen, it's probably for a minority of the brands. Let's say that does happen 1 in 10 brands. Like as long as you're actively managing 10 brands, it happens with 1. And for some reason you can't figure it out or get it back, then you just have to hedge it by having other clients, or you have to hedge it by having other platforms, not putting all your eggs in one basket. So like in your situation, it might be different because you guys might have like the Google merchant approval or fixing process on lock, like you have reps, etc. Facebook's maybe a little bit different, or TikTok, because especially if you don't have that exclusive connection with them, because like it's what goes on there is still a black box. Like you'll get banned for no reason. You might on Google as well, but usually there'll be a path TikTok's for them to fix it. Yeah, TikTok, Facebook. Sometimes you could have the best business ever and you'll just get banned for no reason. And then you have founders that have had the same Facebook account for 5 years that are now like, you're teaching them drop shipping tactics. and they're like, what the fuck is this? Like, I have a legit brand. Why can't I just message Facebook?
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've been in the game for 6-7 years. I still can't tell you why you can and can't. It's kind of crazy, but that element sucks. Like, just the lack of control over certain things. When a client's like, here's a 20K budget, you spend 30K, but you get them a 7 ROAS and like they're pissed. And you're like, you gotta be kidding me, you know?
I will say this. I hate dealing with that. So I hired for it.
Yep.
I don't want to do it. It takes a completely different mindset, because instead of how to grow a business, it's how to fix a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hire for that.
Yeah. And some agencies aren't in a position to where they can afford to hire for that, but it's the best position to hire. Like, my agency is not in a position where we're ready to hire for that, but that's what I do. So that's the first thing that I'm ready to pay someone 120, 150 a year for, just so like you don't have to worry about it. But it's tough because when to fill in that position, you want to find someone who's similar to you and you think that you're the best person ever. So you know that it's going to be expensive. You want to pay them well. It's going to be hard to train them. So yeah, sometimes it's like, to train that person would mean to step away from my current clients that I'm managing that role, instead of maybe tag teaming it with someone new. So it's tough. Hiring is definitely like, that's a whole conversation of itself. We might not have time for it today, but that's we'll conclude it with that. A lot of businesses are, they're starting their agency, they're starting their e-commerce brand. What does your like general hiring process look like? And at what point should you consider hiring for any business? Because I think it's like pretty universal.
So I was spending a lot of time in hiring, and I actually like 100% recommend you guys do this. I don't know how much you guys work in a week, but I used like a general rule of thumb. I probably work around 80 hours a week. I'm sure you guys do too, but I divided the amount that I'm making in a year by 70. I just said 70 hours a week. Divide by 52 weeks in a year to understand, like how much is my time actually worth in an hour? And I use that number to understand what should I be training to outsource for. And so I was in need of hiring media buyers, and we're now just continuously always hiring. Even if we don't need media buyers, we are hiring, just because we know like we're going to have killer clients continue to come in. So we're just trying to hire and train up. But anyway, that is not a quick process. Like putting up the ad and then vetting 100, 200, 300 applicants, hopping on calls with the ones that you're screening and having conversations with. It's not quick. So we just outsourced that and hired someone in the US to handle that all for us. But we're looking for very specific things, right? Like, I mean, we're not going to give up someone in India because they're overseas. We're not going to give up someone in UK because they're expensive. We just look for the top talent. For instance, I actually don't care if they're from India because Google has a headquarters in India. So like they probably worked at Google already.
Yeah.
So it could be a good win. Or in Spain, they have a third party headquarters there. So it's like you got to pick and choose with where you get employees from. But we have a whole list of questions that we're asking beforehand that they need to answer, or we're not even considering getting on the call. So for instance, like you need to be in an agency setting beforehand. You need years of experience in an agency setting because you need to know how it feels to have at least 10 clients under your belt that you are managing at one time. And if you don't, you will not get it. You need to be managing at least 50 to 100K a month in ad spend, because if you don't know what it's like to have the mindset of volatility, of understanding, well, next month it could be 200K a month in ad spend. The next month it could be 30. You need to be able to not get emotionally attached and be able to look at it actionably and not get shaken with those higher numbers. They need to be fluent in English. That's one, but they need to be a team player. You can't just have someone that you're bringing on because they're a killer with Google or they're a killer with Facebook, a killer with TikTok. They could be the best in the freaking world, but if they seem bored on the interview or too good, or they can't engage and fit our core values, no shot. You are not coming on a team. I don't care if you're the best. You got to be able to fit the team. You got to be able to like mesh with all of us. There's a lot of questions that we ask beforehand, and we sort through, screen the ones that are more likely to be on the team. Then we're sending another list, and those that answer thoughtfully, we will hop on a call with, and our hiring manager handles all of that.
It's a good fucking way to end it. That's gem after gem after gem over there.
I'll leave everyone with the question that you had asked. Who asked it about? What do you see about the future of the agency space? Did you ask that?
Yeah.
For me, it's uncertain because all these platforms are going so dependent on the algorithm, and so Facebook nowadays, if you have really good creative, really good offer, you don't really need to know 100% what you're doing to figure it out pretty quickly. Most of these platforms, Google, TikTok, they're kind of getting there. So I don't know what that time horizon looks like. And a lot of people think, I maybe somewhat agree with them, that the only way to get around that is to learn what things are becoming, I guess, a slower rate of automation or like AI delegation. Learn those things that are going to take longer for AI to adopt and to perfect at a rate that a human can do, like creative. And you'll at least prolong like the success of being able to start an agency. But like, I don't know where the agency space is going to go. We don't know where any industry is going to go with the rate that AI is progressing. But I don't know. Running the agency always has made me look back on brand building and have that sense of envy for brand building. But then when I've actually ran the brands, came across the problems, I've always envied successful agency owners. So like everything that's going good is good. Everything that's going bad, you're going to have the opinion on that's bad. And anything in the future, you just can't really predict or foresee.
Right.
Amen.
Yeah.
Man, pleasure having you. I'm going to dab you on my other hand.
Dude, we're going to do a round 2.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do a round 2. I feel like this agency is going to go blow up or something.
It's already fucking big.
Well, because like, it's already big. But I also think that because you had the other agency, and you learn a whole bunch of shit, and you realize that like, oh fuck, I see where the problems are. Let me just not do that off the get. Yeah. I think that like actually sets you up for like extreme success right now. Yeah. Just the way you think through shit, just the way you like think through like hiring, firing, scorecards, all this stuff. Like people don't talk about this type of stuff. Honestly, we've had agency guys on here, we've had like big founders, and like honestly, I think you've been really thoughtful as to how you built this company. It's only like you said 6 months it's been around.
Yeah, this one, but the previous one that we had was 3 or 4 years old.
Okay, so like call it like almost 4 years deep in a sense. So you have a lot of experience
absolutely
in this space,
and in e-com in general. I've been in it since like 2015
for sure.
But in a year from now, I don't see a lot of these agencies that are doing 100 150K a month. And the reason I say that is that's when I said it breaks for a lot of these guys. I don't think that they're going to be doing agency anymore and or they're going to get a bad reputation. I think things are going to change very quickly over the next year. Dude, so many things that I do nowadays are getting enhanced by ChatGPT. I have a ChatGPT folder for every single client that I have on a specific email. And I tell it, here, so you guys know, oh my gosh, what a gem. Get a folder for your client and tell ChatGPT to analyze 20 reviews about your client's brand and say, use X book, for instance, Growing Pains, or it could be like Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. Tell it to review these 20 reviews about the brand to learn about the brand, understand the weaknesses, understand the strengths, understand the marketing funnel, understand the customer avatar. And then now you have this funnel inside of ChatGPT, this folder, this chat, that you can literally ask anything. You could say, create me 5 headlines for Google Ads that are 30 characters long in this tone of voice. And it's going to do it 10 times better than I am. And I have X number of years in marketing. So like
it commoditizes.
Definitely think different.
That's a bomb right there. That's a bomb and a half. Damn. Yeah. ChatGPT, that's a game changer.
Yeah. And going off having an agency that did very well, but you learned and you kind of started a new one. I feel like everybody's first business sucks. Everybody's last business is usually the best one. Because you take what you learned from all those previous businesses, you don't do the bad things, and you hit the gas on all the things that did go well.
Absolutely. I won't disparage Digital Wealth because it rocked, dude. It was such a great agency, and I had great people involved with that agency. But it's, again, we didn't know what we didn't know. And over time, like now with Vysta, like I get it. I understand.
Question for you. Do you want people to find Vysta?
Sure. I mean, it's actually super easy to find. It's growwithvysta.com. That I just created the website recently. It's a sick website. It's actually really dope. So I would recommend checking it out. But outside of that, Nate.Google on everything. You're going to start seeing a lot more of me. I'm going to get on some more pods. I appreciate you guys inviting me.
100%.
It was a great time.
So people can find you on IG, Twitter.
We'll link it all in the description.
Yeah, soon to be YouTube as well.
Oh, YouTube as well. That'd be sick.
Nice.
You did YouTube, right?
Yeah, we did YouTube with Digital Wealth. You can still find it if you look up Digital Wealth MB. You'll see a few videos of me.
100%. And then on our end, who are the sponsors for this one? Do you know?
It's always a tough one.
I think it's Melio. Is it Melio Prime Quarter?
Feel and Prime. Yeah, I think this is going to be the last one in October, or like the second to last, one of those.
One thing though, shout out Melio though. I think it's a pretty legit platform. Like if you do payments and anywhere, they're pretty sick for business payments. I think they're giving like $200 if you sign up with our link. Something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you sign up
like
with our
paying
link,
your employees, accepting payments, like you can do pretty much.
Yeah, international. I think you can invoice on there as well too.
Yeah.
Like low fees, easy to use. Honestly, is like probably better than like other crap out there.
Yeah, I don't even want to mention some of them. Give them too much credit.
Yeah, give them too much credit.
Shout out Melio.
And like all the ones we appreciate you. And also for the subscribers, like we're growing. We're almost at like 3K subs. Yeah. Almost on 10K on IG. We have like 70K.
Yeah, IG's been growing fast.
Yeah, IG's been growing
TikTok's
fast.
a little stagnant at 70K, but we're trying to get that to 100 soon.
So if you can like, comment, subscribe, share it. If you have any guests who wants to come on, comment it below.
Yeah.
And if you got all the way to the end, DM me on Instagram. I'll give you $100 Zelle. I did this on a video, and like 5 people have DM'd me.
Only 5. Imagine how many people aren't getting to the end of these.
Well,
videos.
These are like an hour and a half long fucking videos. So if
these
you
are
got
bangers, though.
if you go all the way to the end, $100. I might give it to you. But like,
and if you're
I might tell Nate to give it to you.
And if you're more of a learner that likes reading, check out our newsletter. We'll link that in the description.
Yeah, newsletter
below.
as well too. That's pretty sick. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we send that out.
Cool.
Awesome,
See you in the next one.
Peace.